is written by user Chronos000, and it's called I Asked the New Psychiatrist if something was bothering her. Her story with a 13-year-old patient still haunts me to this day. Man, it was one of those days where the rain decided to pour down like there was no tomorrow. I'm sitting there at the small therapy clinic, staring out the window, thinking about how annoying it's gonna be to walk home without an umbrella. Like, seriously, rain, can't you cut me some slack? Suddenly the door swings open, and in walks Kate, the new psychiatrist. I greeted her with a big ol' smile, trying to hide my annoyance with the weather. She introduces herself all professional-like. Hey, I'm Kate, the new shrink around here. I guide her to her office where she's going to be stationed as per the clinic manager's orders. The day's been quiet and it's just me and Kate in the clinic, so I figure why not strike up a conversation. I stroll into Kate's office trying to be friendly. So, Kate, how long have you been practicing the art of messing with people's heads? She chuckles and says, about 10 years now. You know, the usual stuff. Listening to people's problems and pretending like I have all the answers. I'm genuinely impressed, and I ask her how she's got into this whole therapy gig. That's when I notice something off about her. She's visibly bothered by something. Being the nosy person I am, I ask her what's eating at her. She hesitates, glancing around like she's afraid someone might be eavesdropping. Patient confidentiality and all that jazz. I push her a bit, telling her it's just us girls. Spill the beans. Finally, she sighs and decides to share a story. Alright, fine, but this one's a doozy, she warns, looking dead serious. I lean in, my curiosity on full blast. She starts telling me about this kid named Gabriel, a 13-year-old who gave her the creeps. I mean, 13. Kids that young need therapy. The world's messed up, man. Kate explains how she met Gabriel and his mom at this rundown house on Mill Street. The boy seemed normal at first, but then she asked what was wrong with him. Gabriel's mom goes on about how since he was 6, the kid avoided going outside like the plague. Windows were a no-go zone, too. I'm thinking, okay, maybe he's just an introvert or something. But Kate's face turns serious as she continues. Apparently, Gabriel wouldn't spill the beans about why he was so scared of the outside world. The mom was clueless and the kid was keeping quiet, like he was holding on to some deep dark secret. She then continued her story where she visits Gabriel's home, determined to unravel the mystery behind this kid's fear of the great outdoors. On day 1, everything seemed normal. Cartoons, YouTube videos, books with mom. Nothing out of the ordinary. But that window incident, that's what kept Kate up at night. As the day continues, Kate's got her eyes peeled, watching Gabriel like a hawk for any clues. The kid's doing the same routine. Cartoons, iPad, books, all the usual stuff. But then, like clockwork, he inches closer to that darn window. For a whole hour, Gabriel just stares outside, looking terrified. Kate glances out, expecting to see a UFO or a creepy neighbor, but it's just a regular backyard on a cloudy day. Nothing to freak out about, right? Wrong. When Kate asks Gabriel what he sees, the kid loses it. It's there, waiting for me to come outside, he mutters, voice trembling. Kate's skin crawls and she asks the $1,000,000 question. Who's there, sweetie? The boy screams, "No!" like he's being chased by the boogeyman, and bolts back to his room, treating it like some fortress of solitude. Kate's now officially creeped out, wondering if the kid's imagination is working overtime or if there's something more sinister lurking. After the 5-hour shift, Kate leaves, feeling a sense of unease. She talks to Gabriel's mom, asking if the boy's ever taken hallucinogenic meds or something. The mom, defensive yet concerned, reassures Kate that she wouldn't let her kid pop pills without a doctor's say-so. Day 1 wraps up with Kate promising to come back tomorrow. As she tells me this, I'm getting goosebumps. I ask, "What did you do on the second day, Kate?" She smirks a bit, saying, "You're gonna have to wait till tomorrow to find out." I roll my eyes, slightly disappointed, but life at the clinic calls. New visitors are streaming in. As I head home, eat dinner, and lay in bed, I can't shake the feeling that Kate's story is gonna unveil something dark and twisted. Tomorrow can't come soon enough. The next day crept in, and I was on a mission to wrap up work pronto, desperate to unravel the chilling tale Kate had started. But the clinic was buzzing with visitors, each with their own brand of chaos, and I hustled through the day, managing the madness with a dash of disappointment. By the end of my 8-hour shift, fatigue etched lines on my face. Kate got the look on my face, and out of kindness, she decided to spill more of her eerie story. My face lit up like a sunflower under the midday sun. We both left the clinic, making a beeline for Kate's home, where I settled on her comfy couch, eagerly waiting for the next chapter. Kate took a deep breath and dove back into the tale. On the second day at Gabriel's place, things seemed normal until Kate wanted a quick smoke outside. That's when Gabriel, urgency in his voice, stopped her, warning that the door would let it in. Intrigued, Kate peered outside but found no one. Choosing not to open the door, the boy visibly relaxed. Thinking on her feet, Kate asked Gabriel to draw what he saw in the backyard. Surprisingly, the boy agreed and quickly grabbed his drawing supplies. As he sketched, I watched in shock as the image took form. A tall, pale woman with long black hair, long arms, wearing a white dress smeared in blood, a devilish smile etched on her face. "Holy cheesecakes," Kate muttered, her heart racing. She asked Gabriel if this was the reason he avoided the outside, and he nodded in confirmation. Even Gabriel's terrified mother gazed upon the drawing. At the end of the 5-hour shift, Kate meticulously documented every detail in her report. She nudged me to call it a day, promising to finish the story tomorrow. In shock, I left for home, unable to eat or do anything as fear and excitement churned in my mind. That night, Kate detailed the story further. She spoke about the shift in Gabriel's home's atmosphere after the drawing, a sinister presence that sent shivers down her spine. She recounted the eerie feeling of being watched, as if the creature depicted in the drawing was somehow aware of their discussion. The next day at the clinic, I was a mix of anticipation and dread, eager to unravel the conclusion of Kate's unsettling experience with Gabriel. Little did I know, the story was far from over, and the answers might be darker than I could have ever imagined. The next morning, I woke up feeling like I hadn't slept at all, thanks to the barrage of late-night text messages from Kate. My usual morning routine felt like a chore, but I pressed on and headed to work. To my surprise, the clinic was eerily quiet once again. A sense of relief washed over me. I couldn't fathom dealing with another day of administrative chaos like the one before. Just when I thought it was going to be a mundane day, Kate strolled into the clinic, offering to finish her story in her office before the inevitable boy's chilling home, suspecting schizophrenia or monstrous illusions tied to his anxiety. Little did she know the terrifying climax awaiting her. As Kate monitored Gabriel, he claimed to hear strange noises from the basement. Curiosity outweighed caution, and Gabriel insisted on investigating. Kate, uneasy, accompanied him. When she opened the basement door, an ominous stairway descended into darkness. To Kate's horror, a long, pale arm shot out from the abyss, snatching Gabriel and pulling him into the darkness. He screamed in terror, pleading for salvation. Kate, panicked, chased after him, but when she illuminated the basement with light, Gabriel was nowhere to be found. His mother, puzzled, revealed that he was napping in his room. Perplexed, Kate rushed to Gabriel's room, only to find him peacefully asleep. However, something was off. Gabriel awoke seemingly normal, but Kate sensed an underlying difference. When he miraculously stepped into the outside world, Kate couldn't shake the feeling that things weren't as they seemed. Writing a report, Kate convinced herself that Gabriel had returned to normal, but the haunting memory of the basement lingered. The boy's mother thanked Kate for resolving the dilemma, unaware of the doubts clouding the psychiatrist's mind. Kate left that day with a multitude of questions, haunted by the unsettling experience in the basement. As she finished her tale, my eyes widened in horror. "I told you so," Kate muttered. "I know, you don't have to tell me that," I replied in a scared tone. Kate tried to reassure me, urging me not to dwell on the story as it might affect my work. I attempted to put on a brave face, but deep down the terror lingered. As new visitors flooded the clinic, I went back to my routine, forever haunted by the basement incident and Kate's chilling story, unsure if it was true or a fragment of a disturbed imagination. That one was pretty short. Unfortunately, it's probably going to be like a 15-minute video. I've been recording for 20 minutes, but I messed up like 3 times, so there's that. I asked for permission to read a couple of other stories. Let's see. I messaged this guy to see if there was anything else he might want me to read, but I haven't gotten a response yet. Alright, I got another one for you guys. This one is by Horror Junkie 123, and it's called "My Boyfriend Has Always Hated My Cats. I Should Have Dumped Him Sooner." My boyfriend Eric has always vehemently hated my cats, Stella and Biscuit. I wish I could say that they've never given him a reason to, but honestly I can't. They're perfect little angels around everyone except for him. I should have taken that as a red flag. Eric and I started dating around 3 months ago. He seemed like a genuinely good person, but I've recently come to learn that he's anything but genuine. The issues didn't start until a month ago. We were at my house getting ready to leave for date night when I heard it. Biscuit was emitting a low growl from the opposite room. I've had that cat for 4 years and never once has he growled at anyone. I put down my curling iron and walked into the room just in time to see him swat my boyfriend's hand. Eric recoiled in pain, clutching his wounded appendage close to his chest. appreciate it if you didn't call my cat names, but I'll let it slide because of this. Show me, I requested to my now teary-eyed boyfriend. He gazed up at me like a hurt puppy. Was he playing it up? Oh, 100%. But I still couldn't help feeling a pang of pity stab through my chest like an ice pick. How's it look? He asked, wincing as I gently wiped away some of the blood. It's not bad at all. I'll get you a band-aid, then you should be right as rain. Kinda killed the vibe for date night, though, didn't it? He sheepishly nodded. I thought so. We can get takeout instead. My treat, I said as I rummaged through my medicine cabinet. Eric smiled warmly at me as I found what I was looking for. Thanks, baby. You're the best. We spent the remainder of the evening cuddled up on the couch watching Netflix. All the while, Biscuit and Stella were nowhere to be found. That was odd. Usually at least one of them would be curled up beside me. Other than that, nothing was out of the ordinary for the rest of the night, but I still couldn't help feeling uneasy. With how hectic my schedule had been, I didn't get a chance to spend time with Eric for another week afterward. That Saturday, I found myself getting ready for my boyfriend to come over. Honestly, that was another blaring red flag that I decided to sweep under the rug. Eric had never invited me over to his place the entire time we'd been together. He'd get agitated whenever I brought it up, and it usually ended in a fight. I thought it was strange, but nothing that couldn't be explained away. Maybe his apartment was a mess. Maybe he was insecure about his choice of home decor. Or maybe he just wasn't ready yet. As I would come to find out, none of those were correct. That evening, Eric had offered to cook for me. I had no clue that he even knew how, so when I laid eyes on the 4-cheese lasagna he'd prepared, I was in awe. Babe, why didn't you tell me you were a 5-star chef? I mean, shit, even Gordon Ramsay would want a piece of this. A smug grin crept across his face. He folded his arms across his chest and admired his handiwork. I'm a man of many talents. Your boyfriend is a jack of all trades, he said, bowing dramatically. Hey, presentation isn't everything. The taste test will be the determining factor, I replied, shooting him a wink. Well, prepare to be amazed. Take a seat, milady. Dinner is served. You're a cornball, I giggled as he pulled out a chair for me. Eric turned back to his masterpiece and began dishing out our servings. He grabbed the grated cheese and started pouring it on top. I couldn't see from my angle, but it seemed like he was taking a while with it. Maybe he was struggling to get the top off. Babe, do you need help? I asked, rising from my seat. No, I've got it, just sit back down. Something about the way he said that unnerved me. Eric had never snapped like that. Was my boyfriend hiding something from me? Here you are, my queen, Eric said, placing a plate before me. I glanced at his food. Mine had a lot more grated Parmesan than his. Something didn't feel right, but I tried my best to brush it off as I raised a forkful of steaming lasagna to my mouth. Before I could eat it, however, a flash of black fur darted in front of me. It was Stella. She swatted the fork from my hand before it touched my lips, then swept her tail across the top of my food. The fuck? Did my cat just bitch slap the food out of my hand and then rub her hairy tail all over my plate? I was about to order Stella to get down from the table when I noticed that she had her hackles raised. She was hissing at my boyfriend and swatting the air. She was trying to protect me, but why? Shh, Stella, it's okay, girl, I whispered, lightly caressing her back. I eventually calmed her down, but she didn't take her eyes off Eric the entire time. The pair were trapped in a fierce staring match, and my cat was not going down without a fight. into his seat. Eric was pouty for the rest of the meal. He looked like a child who was told he was getting coal for Christmas. Something fishy was going on, and I was determined to get to the bottom of it. Things were fine between us for the next couple weeks. Eric took me out on dates, bought me flowers, and did all the things that a sincere, loving boyfriend should do. I'd been suspicious of him, but I'd be lying if I said that he wasn't breaking down my walls. If that was all an act, it was a damn good one. I let Eric spend the night for the first time a week ago. He was understandably ecstatic. I know most couples hit that milestone before they even start dating, but I like to really be comfortable with someone before I let them sleep in the same bed as me, you know. Thanks for letting me stay over, babe. It's nice to finally fall asleep with you in my arms. I'm not gonna lie, it does feel nice, I said, scooting closer. Eric's eyes were getting heavy. He yawned and then whispered in his sleepy voice that I had come to adore. I love you, Lindsay. My cheeks burned red as a fire engine. He'd never said that to me before. As the shock wore off, I began to realize that I felt the same way. I love you too, Eric, I murmured as we both shut our eyes and drifted off to sleep. I awoke to a shriek in the middle of the night. Eric was sitting upright, and I felt something heavy drop out of the blanket over my abdomen. As my eyes adjusted to the darkness, I quickly realized what it was. A steak knife. Eric was wrestling with a beige ball of fur. I didn't waste any time. I snatched up the knife, threw off the covers, and leapt from the bed. With teary eyes, I pointed the weapon at Eric, who was desperately trying to free his arm from Biscuit's death grip. "Biscuit, come here," I muttered, my voice trembling. He instantly released Eric once he heard my voice. Biscuit scampered over to me, out of Eric's reach. "Get out! Get the fuck out!" I shouted, tears streaming down my cheeks. My now ex-boyfriend looked like he was about to cry. That infuriated me. He wasn't allowed to cry, not after what he was going to do. "Baby, please, I can explain. No, there is nothing to say. You are either going to stab me or my cats, and whichever it was, that was unacceptable. Get out of my house." Eric opened his mouth, trying to find the right words, but none came. His head hung low as he reluctantly gathered his things. It was taking all of my mental fortitude to hold it together. Once Eric was fully dressed, he shuffled away. He paused as he reached the front door and turned to face me. "Are you sure that there's nothing I can say to change your mind?" The knife shook in my grasp. "You're sick. I don't ever want to see your face again." He didn't respond. He simply walked out into the night, leaving me a trembling mess in my living room. Something inside of me broke. behavior throughout our entire relationship. He was like a ghost, and that's exactly what he wanted. Now, I'm terrified. I've gathered up the essentials, and the cats are in their carriers in the back seat. I'm making the 4-hour drive to my parents' house, because when I got home from work today, I found something that nearly caused me to pass out. When I walked in my living room, there was a note sitting on my coffee table. Along with it, a copy of my house key and a bullet. My hands quivered as I picked up the letter. My heart plummeted to my toes when I read what was written on the crumpled paper. Hey baby, I can't wait to see you for date night. I have a killer outing planned. Your loving boyfriend, Eric. I'm still shaking